Hello, today I'll talk about the third major alternative center of power, that is China. China is the fastest growing economy. Its large population, vast resources like coal, oil, minerals, and regional location adds to its power in significant ways. It has been predicted that China would overtake the US as the world's largest economy by 2030. China is one of the five permanent members of United Nations Security Council and thereby influences world politics. People's Republic of China was founded on October 1, 1949 following the Communist Revolution led by Mao Zedong. Mao visualized a society in which everyone would have an equal share in prosperity. He began to bring farms, factories, and other businesses under government ownership. China's 5 year plan was based on a Soviet style centrally controlled economy, which means the central government made all economic decisions. Soviet aid and advice helped China create an economic model of state owned heavy industries. Individual household farms were collectivized into large communes. China followed a policy of import substitution, that is, emphasized replacement of some imports by encouraging local production for local consumption. The government ensured employment and social welfare to all citizens. However, China chose to distance itself from the capitalist world. On one hand, Chinese economy was growing at a modest rate of 5 to 6%, but on the other hand, it had population growth rate of 2 to 3%. This meant that economic growth was insufficient for growing population. China had minimum international trade. Per capita income was also very low. Agriculture production was insufficient to generate surplus for industry. Between 1959 and 1961, there was sharp decline of food production. Privately run sectors were also at loss. Hence, Chinese leadership took major policy decisions in the 1970s with the objective to transform China's stagnant and planned economy into a market economy. They wanted to generate strong economic growth and also increase well-being of Chinese citizens. Now let's discuss China's new economic policy. China ended its political and economic isolation with the establishment of relations with the United States in 1972. The US President Richard Nixon's official visit to China ended 25 years of no communication between the two countries. It was a major step in normalizing relations between the US and China. In 1977, Chinese Premier Zhou Enlai proposed the four modernization plans, which were agriculture, industry, science and technology, and military. The four modernizations were adopted as a means of rejuvenating China's economy. In 1978, Deng Xiaoping was eager to adopt capitalist methods and reforms in order to stimulate economic growth. He announced open door policy, economic reforms, and market economy under the state guidance and control. Deng launched economic reforms that allowed private sector to start their own businesses. He also established four special economic zones along the coast of China. They were established with the intention of attracting foreign investments of capital and technology. China did not go for shock therapy. It opened its economy step by step. First, agriculture was privatized in 1982, followed by industries in 1998. Trade barriers were abolished only in special economic zones. State continued to play a central role in setting up a market economy. Due to reforms, China has gone from being a country that opposed capitalism to one that embraces free market competition. Privatization led to remarkable rise in agricultural production and rural incomes. Industry and agriculture grew at a faster rate. New trading laws and creation of special economic zones led to a phenomenal rise in foreign trade. China became the most important destination for foreign direct investment. China has by far the largest foreign currency reserves. The foreign currencies held by China allow it to invest in other countries. China's entry into WTO in 2001 opened its economy to the outside world. It has helped China to further integrate its economy into the world economy and shape the future economic order. Despite being the fastest growing economy, China faces certain challenges. Let's discuss them. First, China's growth rate has started crumbling. The most recent statistic shows growth rate to be close to 6.5%. The growth rate was largely influenced by the infrastructure projects. However, the infrastructure projects also caused a lot of debt. Second, China has both large numbers of unskilled workers and highly skilled workers. However, the slow development of China's productivity and the population growth rate are the main reasons for unemployment in China. Third, employment opportunities for women have reduced. There is also a gender pay gap in China's labor force. Fourth, corruption and environmental degradation. China is the world's largest source of carbon emissions, and the air quality of many of its major cities fail to meet international health standards. Corruption continues to negatively influence the business environment. Companies experience bribery or political interference. Fifth, there has been a rise in economic inequality between rural and urban population. Household income in urban area is 2.72 times that of rural areas. Before discussing China as regional and global power, let's summarize its growth. Mao Zedong established the People's Republic of China. He modeled China's political structures on those of the Communist Soviet Union. This attracted Soviet loans and put it on an ideological path opposite of the United States. The Soviet advisors and loans increased industrialization. The relationship between China and Russia began to break down after Mao launched his own modernization program in 1958. The Chinese began to drift from Russia and started looking elsewhere for economic prosperity. In 1971, the People's Republic of China gained membership in the United Nations, raising its status to a major world political power. In 1972, US President Richard Nixon visited China, which paved the way for strong economic ties the two nations share today. It was in the 1970s that China's economic growth really began to take off after the reforms. It emerged from isolation and integrated with world economies. China and Russia's relationship again strengthened in 1989. They resolved their border differences and signed a friendship cooperation agreement. China has been growing extremely rapidly for a long time, but the growth rate has slowed down. China is regarded a more important player in shaping regional and global development. Let's discuss China's influence. First, integration of China's economy with the world economy has enabled it to have a considerable influence with its trading partners. China's main export partners are the US, the European Union, member countries of ASEAN, Japan, and the Republic of Korea. Second, China's investment and trade policies in Latin America and Africa are increasingly projecting it as a global power. Large scale structural projects, often accompanied by a loan below market rate interest, are proposed to African countries. China funds the construction of infrastructures such as roads, dams, ports, and airports. China surpassed the US in 2009 to become the largest trading partner of Africa. Bilateral trade agreements have been signed between China and 40 countries of the continent. It has also extended its investments in Latin America and is now a leading partner of Brazil, Argentina, and Chile. In conclusion, we can say that China is central to important regional and global development issues. It is a growing influence on other developing economies through trade, investment, and ideas.